Okay, I'm here to wrap up a session I had about the church, the money that goes into the church, the money that we make when we go to work, when we're being taxed, and all of the ins and outs of some of the things that I was not able to cover in a previous video. The reason why I'm doing this is to educate the public about government and how it works and the ins and outs, breaking it down to a understandable, more reachable communication, because the way the law is written, the way that government plays its games is to make it unapproachable in a fashion in which you don't even know who to talk to or what to say when you or if you find someone to approach about the law or about your government. So it is that when you get up and you go to work and you get taxed from your check, once again, the business is being taxed. That's money out of your check. You're going to get taxed. That's money out of your check. And when you send your money to the bank or you cash your check, you're going to be taxed. So, or charged. Either way it goes, there's a tax on your money before you get it. So when you get up and you go to church, once again, you go and you give your money to the church, and they pay the people that work in the church and do the business functions of the church. And the pastor and all those that are involved in the oversight of the church are going to collect a check or an income from the church, and that money does not get taxed. So they go to work, they get a check. If they pay their tithes and their offering, which you'd be surprised how many people that work in the finance rooms of your churches do not pay tithes and offering, and how some pastors allow some people to not pay tithes and offering, and some people, then according to the masses that they preach to, they don't direct them the same way. So you're actually, involved with something that you have no knowledge or no truth being afforded to you, where you could actually do things that would affect the change in your life and the change in the conditions of your community and in your home, in your household, and in your church body, because the building is not the church, and neither is the business that takes place within the church. So once again, the people that go to church and work in the church, they get two checks, where you're just getting your check from work, and you go and take a portion of that check to them, and they get paid. Well, if it's just the light bill that needs to be paid, or the water bill that needs to be paid, or the property value that the church is trying to uphold with the maintenance and the upkeep and the general business of the church, that right there is more than what tithes and offering was meant to be. So you have these other programs and these other functions that take place in order to build revenue to accomplish tasks within the church for the church, which the church is, once again, a living body of people. It is not a dead entity such as a business or a non-profit organization. It was never meant to be that. So, for instance, if it was a pastor's anniversary, you'll see a pastor get up and you oversee the offering being taken up for the pastor, and the collection would be taken, and the pastor would say, well, do a quick count over the money that's in the tray, and I'm gonna write a hot check for their cash and put their check inside of that tray and get the cash from the tray in exchange. What happens is the check is going to get cashed, and it's going to come out of the bank account of the pastor or the preacher or whoever put the check in there for that cash. Is going to come out of his bank account, but he already got the money from the offering to put into his pocket. So it's like he never really gave anything. So if you can understand the principles and the play. And they'll do this right there in front of you. They'll do this right there in your face, in the congregation, in the middle of the service. And they'll know about it amongst themselves, but you won't, you know. And like I said, this is one of the reasons why I'm not standing in the pulpit preaching and teaching. You know, I love the gospel. I love the Bible. I love the Most High God in Jesus' name. I love his Holy Spirit. You know, everything that I'm doing is inspired by him. You know, I'm qualified to do many things, but that's irrelevant. I'm like Paul. You know, I count all but all loss and dung, you know, compared to the knowledge, the excellency of knowing Jesus Christ. I mean, hallelujah to his name, Yahushua, the Most High, the Elohim. You know, I mean, I know we speak in a talk language that is very deceptive. So, you know, once again, I'm only communicating with the people that need to be reached, trying to build a bridge in order that we might better understand each other and gain an understanding for our enemy, because there's an invisible enemy that is manifested within this physical realm that we'll get into. But, you know, this needs to be understood in a manner in which people can actually effectively execute a plan, you know. And everybody says, well, hey, you know, he's pointing out all these problems, he's pointing all of these issues out, you know, but he doesn't have any you know, solutions. But that's not true. You know, some things have to be established and taught. Some things have to be understood, you know, in order for there to be an execution of plans. You know, the Most High God has given me a very effective strategy. You know, and I sit down and I talk to one of my teachers from high school. I sit down and I speak to other people that you know, that see things clearly and actually try to make a progression for our people and actually accomplish the things that need to be accomplished, because we accomplish so many things that are irrelevant. They actually don't do anything for us. You know, we celebrate victories that are meaningless, you know, and victories for things that we believe are valuable to us that are actually to our detriment. So, you know, in order for you to actually understand, overstand what they want you to understand, and I'm once again communicating for those who only know and only express themselves in a taught language, that you can do something about what's going on, but you have to first know what's going on and then what you can do about it. You know, I've read The Art of War where Sun Tzu says you must know yourself. You have to know what you are capable of and what you are incapable of. You have to be aware of your capacities. You have to be aware of what you are weak and frail in or about. You have to understand these things about yourself. Then you have to first, you know, analyze all these things and then take and analyze your enemy. If you do not analyze your enemy, if you do not study your enemy and the methodology that he performs his task in, and you don't understand his mind, and you don't understand his plan, and you don't understand it, you know, inevitably what his total outcome is for you, you know, you are defeated. You are completely defeated. You know, if you don't study your enemy to learn his strengths and his weaknesses, and you are not prepared for your enemy, you know, what do you have as an effective weapon in order to fight this enemy if you don't know what he's using against you? You know, so, excuse me, once again, in order for us to understand our enemy, we must understand how he communicates, and he communicates through paperwork. I put a manual together for the purposes in which people could better understand the government and the laws that their government actually incorporates and functions according to, that you might understand what is law and what is not law. You know, between these pages are many lives that have been taken, much bloodshed. There are presidents that have been shot between these pages. There are slaves of countless number whose testimony between these pages. There are people who are locked up in jail right now who are between these pages. There are court cases that established your Bill of Rights, that established the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence. I can list many things within these pages, and I encourage you to buy this manual or this book that I've resourced and compiled for you in order for you to read for yourself, because I only resourced and compiled this manual. There are things that I've experienced that have allowed me to read these documents and actually investigate these things with diligence. And it had to be the Holy Spirit that was leading me and guiding me and teaching me in all things and leading me to deeper truths, because I didn't know, like many, what to look for. You know, until I found out that the right question was the right answer, then, you know, I was coming up with a bunch of factual lies. You know, I was taught things that were in school that were lies. I was taught things that will not be ever recognized by the masses as truth, because the documents and the books and the curriculum that the school has to offer is a manipulated education. So if you don't educate yourself, and if you don't know what to look for, and if you're not spiritually, you know, sound within your efforts, then you will be dismayed with the education that you get living in this society. And this affects you once again, and is relative to you in a manner in which you will soon experience a lot of these intimidations and provocations against you from your government, because a lot of people are waking up. So once again, now you might better understand my purposes for speaking about what's going on with the 501c3 and the 26 CFR 601.602, and understanding that, once again, a nonprofit organization is not what the church is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a living organism. A nonprofit organization under 501c3 cannot get involved with anything that involves political change on behalf of Hebrew, quote unquote, black people. So you are actually participating in a dead entity, such as a business, instead of a living body, and not functioning according to the scriptures. And that's because of the agreement that's been made between the churches and the government. Once again, and according to 26 CFR 601.602, once again, these documents that I have, that I read in a previous video, that the tax Internal Revenue Service and the Internal Revenue Code and regulations are not law, that they are based upon voluntary compliance. So that means that not only is the church taking money and is not supposed to be getting involved with political affairs on behalf of the people and actually try to establish an effective change, but they also don't have to file taxes at all. So if you were to read these documents and you were actually to understand and comprehend, like a test when you were in school, when you actually had to do comprehension, when you actually had to comprehend the paragraph, if you actually read and comprehended what is actually written, then you would understand just plain and simply that the church takes money from you when you go to work. They get paid. They have to send certain amounts of money to individuals who work in the church and distribute them as a business, or they have to pay them. And when they do this, filing as a non-profit organization, which has also been hypothecated according to House Joint Resolution 192, which means pledged, is pledged against the national debt. The church gets its money, pays all the ministers in whatever office they work in. They do not have to pay taxes on that. And on top of it, they don't have to file taxes at all anyway. So by choice, they're getting paid on top of their job where they work, and then they're getting paid working in the church. So they may be getting taxed out of their check at their job, and then turn around and get a check from the church, which is an income that you don't get. It's a double income for them. And they don't have to even file taxes at all, because the Internal Revenue Service is based upon voluntary compliance. If you could just really drill that into your head and get that understood, I mean, like I said, I could find it for you and let you read it. You know, you can look these things up, and I encourage you to look these things up online. They're available to you if you know what to look for. Everything has been codified, so you won't find these documents together. You have to actually know what to look for in order to connect the dots and put this together for yourself or for others. So once again, that was my purpose for putting this book together and giving you the resources you need in order to understand these things. And if you can read any portions of what's being highlighted, and you can see for yourself, you can pause the video, you can look at it and read it for yourself. You can pull it up and you can see it for yourself. So you can see that I'm not making any of this up. You know, you can, check me out. I mean, double check. I encourage that by all means, because I do it. I have to know things and read things for myself. I'm one of those people that I have to get to the bottom of something in order to actually function, because I'm going to be frustrated if I don't understand it. And because you don't know the history on something, or because you don't understand where it comes from, then you're going to always be frustrated with whatever you're dealing with. So, I have to afford myself the objective view instead of a subjective view. And in order for me to understand, I have to go and gather resources from many different places and put it together and try to get a established understanding for myself of what I'm working with and what I'm not working with. What's not said is just as important as what is being said. A lot of people, once again, they believe that their vote counts only by going and casting their vote for someone that they don't like, or another person that they don't prefer, and your vote counts just by holding your vote. If you could actually hold your vote and say, I'm not going to go and vote, and your vote counts as well, because they shouldn't put anybody in office unless the public votes for them, which it further lets you know that the population vote really does not count in your vote, and your electoral vote is what really matters. So if you think your vote counts by going in and voting, then you're being misled, because you've seen several years throughout the decades that they put whoever they want to put in office. Once again, and then you're functioning inside of a government, a democracy that has been functioning and operating to oppress you, the republic. And you could take the Pledge of Allegiance and chop it and dissect it, and see that you pledge allegiance to a flag, which is idol worship of the United States of America, which is a business. That is a business established of America. It is not America. The United States and America are two totally separate, different entities. Understand that you can either be a citizen of the United States or you can be an American sovereign, which this land is Morocco. You need to understand that as well. This land is Morocco. The Native Americans that we call Indians, this is not India. They call people what they want to call them. They rename them. They reposition them in history for everyone to be misled, including their own people, you know, and you need to understand this land is Morocco. Look it up. The Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Look it up. You know, I mean, you the secret treaty of Verona, the Spanish Inquisition, the law that we're up under. You need to understand law. You need to understand your government once again, because they hold you responsible for being governed correctly. They hold you responsible for that. You know, and you need to understand these things. You know, I mean, and in order for you to appreciate what you're losing, you have to first realize what they've already taken away from you. Who understands what they don't know? You know, I mean, if you don't know, then you don't understand. You know, so if you could appreciate it. And once again, I love all my brothers and sisters, you know, that minister and preach, those that get up and go to a church and they worship and praise. And I'm only, you know, putting the education before you, and you can make decisions for yourself. You know, I'm not bashing anyone. I'm only, you know, being specific because the law is very specific. I'm giving you paperwork and documents to go and read. And this is why a lot of people have a problem with me, because I bring truth to light and I speak truth to power. You know, those things are very dangerous and they're intimidating for those people who are uneducated about what they're doing and have control of masses. You know, this is one of the reasons why you have so many people that are leading you that you don't agree with. Because the people that should be leading you, they won't allow those people to get into office. They don't afford the people who actually are going to do something on your behalf into positions and let them actually function in that manner. A lot of people have told me, you need to be a lawyer. You need to be representing us. And I am. You don't even know it. I'm being an American. I'm being what you should be, which is an American. If that's what you want to, and I'm only calling because the truth about it, I'm Moroccan. You know, like I said, this is Morocco. You know, I mean, if you really want to, and that for the Moorish nation, that for the Phoenicians, the black people, the dark-skinned people, the Hebrew, those that are not of a European descent, Caucasian descent. This land is Morocco. The people that are indigenous to this land are Moroccans or Americans. Do the history on it. Do the history. You know, these things, like I say, they're a secret. You know, and if you could understand, you know, the Native Americans didn't believe in private property. You know, they didn't believe in owning property. They roamed with the buffalo. You know, understand that. You know, they didn't believe in it. You know, when you work and function under this democracy, what they have transformed the original purpose of you being here for and being free is saying, hey, you know, if you own this, then you assume liability for it. But if you just control it, then you discharge liability from yourself. And, you know, no one can sue you or take anything from you. You know, like I said, these are precepts and concepts that, you know, people have mastered behind the scenes. The bankers, the lawyers, the judges, these people, they're trying to strip from you your government by denying you the pertinent information, the important information about who you are and your power and your authority. If you could understand this, you know, understand it. They lie in order to achieve their goals. Most people don't believe that terrorists did what happened in 9/11, and I don't either, but according to them. But I do believe that the terrorists that actually did what took place was our government. And many people do and still live under the lie, and that's the spell and the witchcraft that's presented for you to walk around believing that your own government denied you truth about who actually did something to accomplish a purpose. And this has gone on many times throughout our history. So you need to beware. You need to understand that this government is a tyrant. Like I said, they're holding the world at gunpoint. They've used the finances that they have amassed to spread bases across the world and hold the world at gunpoint because they're broke. And they've been broke since 1913, 1933, when the House Joint Resolution came through and the president abrogated the gold. And then in 1971, the President Nixon suspended the gold clause, which said that you can trade dollars for gold. I mean, many people don't even know what a dollar is. Once again, in this manual, I have the entire breakdown of the mechanics of money, and people do not understand. The reason why you could buy so much with so little back then is because your dollar was represented in gold, but it's no longer represented in gold or silver, because if you could realize that a dollar represented an ounce of gold or an ounce of silver, a quarter represented a quarter of ounce or of silver, or a quarter of an ounce of gold. It was a curity. Metal weighs different than anything that you can ever put on a scale. So, just imagine if you're dealing with that much, you're walking around, all that wealth you're walking around with, and they took all this wealth and they took and put it into a bank, and they just used paper, what they call certificates, now they call notes, to represent their gold. That is not the way money is functioning anymore. It's currency. So once you realize that and you understand that you're being deceived, the masses are being deceived, like I say, on many platforms, and through many vectors. If you could imagine trying to be someone who has gotten in a room and place themselves in a mind state specifically designed to attack you in a specific way. And then you have 10 people that are specifically thinking in a specific way of how they can attack you, defeat you, and eliminate you. That's what's going on. From your finances, from the medicine in the medical industry, the pharmaceutical company, from the food, from the water, from your environment, from any and every sociologically, psychologically, every avenue that you could ever imagine that you could be attacked from, they are using it to attack you. You need to understand that these are the devices that the Bible specifically speaks of. A device is not necessarily the technology that they put together with wires and little pieces of metal and microchips. Devices are thoughts that men come up with in order to entrap you and to engulf you, or that demons influence men and make suggestions to man about ways to subjectify the masses to sin and to death and to hell and a grave. You need to understand that that's what this is all about. It's about control. Money is not about what you think it's about. Money is only a means to an end. Many things have been used, from stones to baseball cards, to serve monetary transactions. You need to understand, the paper that we use is really meaningless. The only thing that gives the value to money is the faith of the American confidence in of the American people in it. In other words, it's only because I tell you to come pay me in dollars that it makes it valuable. When your president, who has not paid taxes in however long he has not paid taxes, he told the world, he told the nations, I'm not accepting the